Hello and welcome to my sunflower tutorial. For this tutorial you're going to need a yellow, so I've used Mellow from the Pro Gel, and an orange, this is Alexandra from the Pro Gel, white, which is Alpine from the Pro Gel, and black, which is Midnight from the Pro Gel. And then I've used a gel bottle brown because that's all I've got, which is Mocha. So we're going to start by using a very fine detail brush, which I've trimmed down a little bit. And we're going to draw almost like a half circle. So it will look like half a sunshine when we've done this bit. So we're going to draw a semicircle. That's nice. Just going to swap my brush. Okay, so this is going to be the head of your flower. With sunflowers, the heads are nice and big. And obviously if you wanted to do the whole sunflower, you would just obviously do a round circle for this bit. And then we're going to come at the bottom point, a little hair, and do a line downwards. And the same on the top point, we're going to go up. Like that. And then we're going to come in from the centre. And I'm going to draw another one. So this is just giving us a template for the flowers. The petals even. Then we're going to come in between the lines. Like so. And then we're going to fill the petals out. So it's going to be half a petal on these two and 4 petals on these. So I'm just going to do, like, again, a bit like a semicircle on each side. To create more of a petal shape. And then we're going to colour in the inside. And then move on. So these are the base petals, and then we're going to go sort of in between but slightly overlapping when we do the next layer. Pull that one out to make it a little bit longer. Like that. last one is a half. Just take a moment to check your petals, make sure you're happy with the shape and size of them all. And when you are, you can pop them in the lamp for 60 seconds. Okay. Okay, so that's cured. And what we're going to do now is just mix a tiny bit, so literally just a tiny blob into your yellow, just to create a slightly darker shade. So try not to mix it too quickly because it will form air bubbles. Okay, so what we're going to do then is the same. We're going to draw the lines out as a guide, and we're going to place those in between the lines, or in between the flower petals that we've already done. So one there, one there. And then we're going to do exactly the same, so we're going to fill those petals out, like slight semicircle shapes. And you can see they nicely overlap. And I try and make them just slightly shorter. They don't have to be, but I like to try and make the top ones just slightly shorter than the bottom ones. So I do this quite thick just because I'm only doing one layer. And then again, just check your petal shapes. Make sure you're happy with them. And when you are, they can go in the lamp for another 60 seconds. So I'm happy with them. Oh, actually at this point, we can add our first layer of dots into the middle. Don't worry if you've already just put it into the lamp. You can take it out and do this bit. So we're just going to scatter a little bit of colour, just dab it in. It doesn't have to cover all of it. Just like that. And then pop it in for 60 seconds. Okay, so now we're going to add a little bit of shading. So we're going to use our brown colour. But we're just going to get a tiny little bit on the brush. So I'm using a very tiny fine detailer brush again. And I'm just pulling out some of my colour into a line. And I'm kind of rolling my brush around in it just so that I don't pick up too much, but my brush is coated. So you can't see really any big dollops of colour or anything on there. What we're going to do is come on the underside of all the colours, petals, sorry, and we're going to create like a shadow. So I'm just going to turn it upside down. Make sure I'm in shot. And we're going to come round. Now I'm going to just dip back into that line again so I don't put too much on. Obviously this one, I can only do this piece here. And this will create a little bit of a 3D effect. I'm just creating a little bit of shading. Add a touch more just at the tip there, so it creates like a little shadow. just going to add a tiny bit round the other side, but this is going to be thinner, so I'm just using what I've got on my brush at the moment just to create just a really thin line. And then just a little bit more around here. That's where the flowers are naturally darker because of the shadow. And I'm going to wipe the excess off my brush, and I'm just going to sort of pat that in a little bit so it blends. I'm going to get a bit more brown, and we're just going to do a tiny little line just through the centre of the petal with a little swoop to whichever way you want your flower petal to lean. And again, I'm just going to slightly go over it just to blend it a little bit. And then we're going to put some dots into the centre. And then we're going to make sure got nice dark dots around the start of the petals. And then we're going to pop that into cure. So I'm just going to do 30 seconds on that one. So we're going to come in now and do some white detailing. So we're going to do the same thing with the amount on your brush. So just pull some of the white out. Make sure your brush is coated but not too much on. So we're going to add a highlight across the top, just underneath where we've dragged the brown round. So a bit at the top of the petal, and then just a bit slightly under. So a little bit across the top, and then just slightly under where we've done the middle crease. So this again just gives the flowers a nice 3D effect. So the light's hitting the sunflower at the top here. So it's more light across the top, and then underneath is where the shadow is. Just gonna add the tiniest bit of brown onto here, so I forgot that bit. Okay, so then we're going to add a few black and a few white dots in the centre. Again, just to really build the texture up, make it look a bit more 3D. And then I'm just going to add a few tiny touches of white. It's almost like the sun's glinting off a little bit of moisture. And that is it. So I'm going to pop that in for 60 seconds, make sure it's all had a full good cure. And here we are, all nice and cured. I'm actually going to finish this one with a matte top coat because I've not done a matte one before. And I'll show you a comparison of the two. So this is the Pro Gel matte top coat. It's the chalkiest matte top I've ever used. It's so amazing. And then I'm going to do, I like to just float when I'm doing a matte layer, just because sometimes with matte it can drag the colour, especially if you've used black. So a tip for that is to do a base coat first. You know, if you've used a lot of black in your design and you want to use a matte top coat, if you just do a layer of base coat first and then do your matte top coat, it will stop the colours from dragging. So if it was shiny, it would be finished like this. And let's see what it looks like matte. Okay, so here's a comparison between the shiny one and a matte one. They are slightly different designs. I think I definitely prefer the shiny. So I think I'm going to go back in with this one and just shine the flower so that only the flower is shiny and the base is matte. So to do this, I'm just going to put the top coat only over the flower. So I'm going to blob it in all the big areas. And then I'll just gently tease it out, probably with a little brush, just for the tips. So I'm just going to leave a nice layer so that I can work it with my brush. I use this method quite a lot with my designs. If I want some parts to be shiny and some parts to be matte, so I'll always matte first and then draw back over with shiny where I want it. And there we go. Matte background, shiny flower. Beautiful. I hope you've enjoyed this tutorial. Give it a like if you did. Share it to anybody who you think might be interested in seeing it. And I'll see you again for my next one.